So I remember we came up with this phrase, and I believe it was Bree. But I think you know what phrase I'm talking about. How did we come up with that?
Yeah, we were in a meeting talking about our creative agency and figuring out like we just transferred from wellness to the creative agency, and we were talking about just different things, different campaigns we could do, creative things that we could come up with. And we were talking about different slogans, like we need that punch, we need that statement that's going to make people talk, or maybe even ask questions, or even if they do ask questions, either we can answer, we don't have the answer, it could be a mystery, whatever it is, but we need that like statement and something that we stand on and believe in. And she was like, well, I was thinking about a few things, and she said the phrase life without creativity is dangerous. And we were like, ooh, like that sounds good. Like we need to expand on that and see what that means to us. And so now we are talking about it now, and I feel like it's a pivotal thing, because we wouldn't be here doing this if we didn't have the creativity that we had, if that wasn't in us from a long time. So let's just talk about creativity in our life and how we think, is dangerous without it.
Then for me, we got to go back to the beginning, because it started my childhood. I think I was one of them kids that was always drawing. I used to love drawing them Dragon Ball Z characters. I used to love drawing all kind of character portraits. I just used to love to draw. I didn't paint as much, but drawing, I'll always draw.
Yeah.
I was also into like building things. So like the Lego sets was fun for me. I even got into puzzles. I used to love even playing match. I put all the cards out and flipping them and trying to see where they are. Remember, like, you got to be creative with that sometimes.
Absolutely.
But anything that was creative and artsy, like, I was drawn to outside of sports. Of course, I love sports too, and you have creativity in that as well. But I was one of those typical kids that enjoyed doing all of the artsy stuff. Like art class used to always be one of my favorite classes, because it was just so fun to me.
Yeah.
So for me, it started in my childhood, and I think I had parents that supported me just being weird and doing whatever I want. They didn't ever try to stifle me outside of start running in the house, typical black parent stuff.
Yeah.
But other than that,
that's regular.
if I asked for a drawing book and we was out, they would give me a drawing book. So
yeah, I think for me it was the same thing. Especially, I think my parents were a little bit more military because they were in the military, and so
that makes sense.
Yeah, but as a kid, with me being the only child for a little bit, I had to come up with scenes by myself. Like you said, the G.I. Joe stuff, I was a huge fan of that. Marvel and DC characters, loved, Ninja Turtles and the storylines and that. It made you feel like you could be, those superheroes. I think, and as I've gotten older, I just realized that one phrase that stands out is like, in the beginning, God created. So it's like, if God's creating, I believe he made us to create. That's why you have this imagination. And I remember my first job was the library. And I used to just be in there reading books about dreams and like how your brain works in dreams and different type of sleep levels that you have. And I'm just like, this is creative, like this is creative stuff, like, and just, writing books is creative. Like all these things serve a purpose and help progress life forward. And so then I knew, once I started getting into music, that was a whole nother thing, because now you putting together sounds that you may hear, you putting together things that you never thought you put together, and these sounds and ideas come together in some formulaic way and create something. And I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. And you could even take it when it comes to childhood, like, for example, like having creativity to take a certain path home that you may discover something on that back road, like a new
I had a
thing.
black mom. She would not let me be walking by myself.
If you in
as a
high
kid.
school or something like that, I mean, maybe.
I had
but,
a black mom. She was even in high school.
That's funny. But like there's kids who live in these country places you may take a different path home or ride a bike a different way, discover a spring or a pond or something. You're like, oh shoot, I didn't know this was back here. And like it just can lead you to so many different directions. And I think that served me a lot of times in my life.
You took me back when you said G.I. Joe, because G.I. Joe and Ninja Turtles were my two favorites, like as a young kid. And you made me think about how I used to be scripting scenarios when I'm playing with my action figures. Like, I used to go to the extreme, like, all right, of course I grew up in Florida, so there's no snow, but I used to be like, all right, we in a frozen tundra and you just fell in the lake and now you frozen over, and someone got to come save you. So what I would do, get a cup, fill it up with water, put the G.I. Joe halfway in, put it in the freezer, let it freeze. And then I'll bring them back out when it's done and take another G.I. Joe to break them free. Coming up with this story. And I just made that correlation how now we write scripts, how we write stories.
It's an outlet.
And it started as a child because I think at the bare minimum, if you strip creativity down to its bones, it's just being childlike.
Yeah, that's it.
It's this childhood innocence. Because nobody's more creative than a kid.
Absolutely.
You watch a kid, they backflipping, they talking to themselves, they seeing things.
Unapologetic.
And I think the people that grow up to stay creative just never lost that inner child.
They look at your Disney worlds and your theme park. These are just big adult things now because it's
kids that can make their toys bigger.
That's pretty much
that's
what
a Tonka truck.
That's literally a toy.
That's a Tonka truck.
That's exactly what that is. Like, where do you think creativity goes if you like stifle it? Because I think that's where the dangerous part comes in at, right? For a child, like let's say that child doesn't have an outlet to draw or to write or to create scenes, like where you think it goes?
I think they start acting out because you have to. Everyone has to have an outlet. So if you stifle the creativity of what's something he enjoys, that's the way he expresses himself. Then he gonna start acting out. He's gonna start crying, throwing temper tantrums, and then you're gonna be like, "What's going on?" You stifled him.
And that, you know what? That's true because
everyone needs an outlet of this something, a hobby, something. Even if you don't think you're creative, you are creative in some way, some
absolutely.
fashion. But everyone is different. And sometimes when you grow up and, you start learning about the world and your parents' views get put on you and stuff, or you just find new hobbies, you kind of lose that certain, like, okay, me drawing a lot, me doing all the artsy stuff. But then something could happen in your life and it come right back. Like for me in high school, playing football, that's what I thought I wanted to do, have fun. 5th game of the year, blew out my knee. Now I'm like, all right, well, that's done. What do I want to do? And I started thinking, I was like, I want to go to art school. Because that's the only place that had the major I was interested in.
That makes sense, yeah.
And at the time, I wanted to do video game design. Because I was into that. And had to go back to arts. So it's like, it was a full circle moment. I started with it, I left it for a little bit, and I came right back to it and been doing it ever since.
I've seen firsthand how, like, life without creativity is dangerous because, at the time when my mom was with my stepdad at the time, he had a son, his son, so it was my stepbrother. I was on the more creative side. He was more tucked up under his grandmother who didn't really let him like go out and do things and see things. And like still to this day, that's affected him. Like he's still in the same position, doing the same stuff. And meanwhile, my mom let me like try different sports, try different activities, extracurricular things, like bought me the drum machines, bought me things that kind of would lend to me and my creativity. And it's like, now that I look back on it, like that was a pivotal thing to let your child like just try stuff. Just explore stuff, because maybe I wouldn't have known that I could do music, or maybe I wouldn't have known that was a passion of mine or create. And him on his side, if he had a little bit more freedom, I think that could have helped him out. But now, ended up turning into alcohol and turned into other things. And he's trying to get but it's just like that outlet turned into other outlets like drugs.
Coping now.
And you coping
didn't have that outlet.
Yeah.
He don't know how to express himself. So to cope with that feeling, I guess he turns to the substances.
Yeah. So we fast forward a little bit, we get to college and, I think creative energy just finds other creative energy. That's how people become friends and, business happens because we all just had something unique and creative about us when we, started Dormtainment. And then it was like,
that's what made us Voltron.
Yeah, it was like iron sharpened iron.
Things, yeah. But then when we all come together, you got Dormtainment.
And it was iron sharpens iron because we decided to be creative every week. And so that's when you creative every week, you're gonna just come with your brain. Our creativity runs so deep now that if you took it away, it just wouldn't. We wouldn't exist. Like we just wouldn't exist.
I don't think you can at this point.
You can't because
so deep in it. Like the other day when what were we doing and I did a quick comeback and someone was like, why are you doing that right now? We like, this is the way our mind works.
Oh yeah. Dang it, man, what was we doing? I know exactly what you're talking about.
We was doing something that I didn't need to reply that quick, but it's just ingrained.
I think it might have been me, you, and Bree on a meeting or something. I can't remember.
I think it was something else.
Oh yeah, but
it was like that's the way when you're a comedian, you use the quick comeback.
Yeah, your brain.
That's the way our mind works.
You cannot everything's a sketch. Everything's an idea. And it's tough to turn it off. Like it's tough to because if you've been doing it every day for 15 years, it's tough to turn it off. But like I wouldn't ever want to turn it off because it's creative in copyright. It's creative in branding. It's creative. That's just what it is.
But I would go even deeper. It's creative with our mental health.
Absolutely.
Because now that it's so ingrained in us, at least with me and you.
Yeah.
I think when times get tough or sad things that you could perceive as sad happen, we laugh. We always see the joke in it, no matter how dark it is. Even if we don't say it, you see the joke.
You see the joke. The joke's funny.
And recently I was listening to an interview from Marlon Wayans. He lost his parents, but then he said he lost like 38 or something, like close friends and family members in the span of 3 years. So he said he was depressed, but he said what got him out of it is laughing. He said that's the way his family is. He like, one time they went to a funeral of his cousin and him and Damon was looking in the casket and they had him dressed in jeans, a t-shirt and a baseball hat. And he said Damon leaned over to him and said, if heaven got a dress code, I don't think cousin getting in.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
And he said they was up there laughing. Yeah. People think they crying.
Yeah.
They was crying of laughter.
Yeah, no, that's funny.
And that's how you cope with this stuff sometimes.
Honestly.
Like I feel like when people get like depressed, like they sitting in it. They're thinking of it. And it is good to go through the emotions sometimes to get through it. And there are times like grief and stuff. But even with that, I feel like us laughing at things, always finding the joke at some point in it, helps us mentally.
We did a whole podcast for 3-4 months, just homeless.
Yeah.
Just in somebody else's apartment, just trying to figure it out.
Making fun of it.
And we were making fun of it. Shit funny.
Right now, another week being homeless. But I think it's a combination of laughing at it.
Yeah.
But it's also a combination of being like, this is temporary.
It's temporary.
It's like blind optimism. This is not permanent.
Yeah.
This don't define me who I am. Like most people would be ashamed to be homeless or it would have been this crying or whatnot.
Yeah.
But we like, this is temporary. This is funny.
Yeah.
Like the fact we find ourselves homeless, when we find ourselves in the same story as most creators or people in Hollywood at some point, it's hilarious to me.
Yeah, I want to talk about, so it's two sides of creativity. One, it can not be sad. That's not the word I'm looking for. It can be disheartening sometimes when your creativity is so big, but your reality of what you want to shoot and create is kind of low, which we dealt with that a lot. But one specific time I think about this time all the time when somebody says, what's like the most resourceful, creative way like you've got something done? And I just never forget when we were in Dunwoody and the script called for rain. Only way we're gonna get rain is if we talk to God and he, move some stuff around. He didn't pick up that day when we called. So we were like, all right, well, we gotta figure this out. Sunny day, or kind of overcast. We was like, okay, but it's still not raining. I never forget, we went to Target because we lived on the 3rd floor, but we was like, okay, let's go to Target, buy packs of water, take an hour and poke tiny holes in all of these bottles. 3 of us stand up top, 3-4 of us stand up top, and turn the bottles over and squeeze them so it looked like rain coming down. And we did it. And that was like, I think about that all the time, because I was like, just the fact to come up with that and then attempt it, not knowing if it's gonna work or not, but we literally made it rain.
The totality of dormtainment.
Yeah, it really
never
was
a budget. Everything we did was creative.
Yeah.
Even like, I remember another shot when we looking down the hallway and we had the camera like on a
like a blanket
foldable table.
Oh, it was a table, yeah.
And we was pulling it to make a push slide, a pull out, like a slider shot.
Because we couldn't afford a slide.
And if you look at it, it looked like it, and it worked, and it was a great shot.
It do look like
everything we did was like, and I think situations like that breeds creativity even more, because you have to figure it out, and we'll get into that already, like problem solving part of it. But I want to go back to the beginning of what you just said about being creative but not be able to shoot what you want. And sometimes I think it's just the gap where you are and where you want to be. And in the middle is this gap that you got to fill, either with studying and learning skill set, either a budget that you can hire someone to do it, but I'll just take it as it's you just learning to do it and taking practice until you close that gap to where you want to be. Because if you look back at the beginning of Dormtainment, those skits are rough. We wasn't even scripting there.
The heart was there.
And then you look at stuff we could do now, we closed the gap.
Yeah.
Our taste level is caught up to our skill level. And that's what you want to do.
Yeah, and then people may look at, sometimes we're so deep in it and deep in this creative thing, and that people look at what we do sometimes and like, how? And not realizing that that's just, first off, 4 years of doing something every week in a row, you're gonna get some type of good at it. But it's just the dedication.
10,000 hours.
Absolutely, that's just the dedication to the craft. I think life without creativity is that dedication. It's like we need this, or it's gonna get dangerous. We're not gonna be able to help the people and serve the people that we need to serve if we don't treat this as if it's dangerous without it, because it is dangerous without. We won't be able to make things. We won't be able to, everything, this here, like table, wouldn't be here if somebody didn't like, all right, we need stuff to put, what's an item I can make to put this on? Oh, let me take this tree and we can carve it down and make something, like it just,
everything
it's service.
Here was an idea.
Yeah.
And then someone had to do it.
Yeah.
Every single thing in
everything.
What you wearing, that was an idea someone had, then they created.
Yeah.
This rug, that table, all the ideas. But sometimes I think with creativity too, another way it can stifle you is like, when I worked at Vericom, I worked in a cubicle, a gray cubicle. And for a creative, being in a box is almost like being in a coffin.
Yeah.
You feel, or in a cell, you feel trapped, you feel dead. You just feel like, I need to breathe, like I can't be in here. So what I did one day was go to Target, got a bunch of gift wrapping paper, Toy Story, and decked out my whole inner cubicle with that. So it had some color. So one side was red, one was blue, one was green. Had the figures in there, and everybody in the office came by like, wow, wow. And then my boss came, he looked at it, I guess, and just walked off. I was like, this is the creative side of the company. Just let us be. This was gonna help you get work done, because
absolutely.
And then I felt alive again. It just felt like I had color in there. That gray wall just felt like it was just closing in on me.
That's
the
worst.
I think once a person finds their passion, especially a creative person, nothing else is gonna make them happy but going after that passion, that purpose. Like my boss at the time at the job would tell me everything he loved about this business, his dream for the business, and everything. And he was so passionate. And I resonated with that
Yeah,
so
of course,
much.
yeah, absolutely.
But I did not resonate with his company.
Of course,
because it wasn't mine. It wasn't
Yeah.
my passion.
Yeah.
But I resonated with the passion he was giving me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll never forget that, and because that let me know right there, I gotta quit. Because
that just sounded funny. But no, for sure.
that let me know right there, I gotta quit.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not following my passion or had this excitement to be here like he did,
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that was like the driving
Yeah.
nail in it. That like I gotta go because I know what my passion is. So
Yeah.
that let me know I'll never be happy doing someone else's passion.
Mm-hmm.
I could do it, but I won't be happy. I won't be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we all want to be fulfilled.
Yeah, so anybody that's working at a job, you can make it as creative as you can in your because you are in a limited box. Use your creativity to make it as creative as you can.
I'm glad you said that. That was my whole train of thought at that company. I was like, I don't want to be here, but if I have to be here, let me make the best of it.
That's
because I don't want to be here and suffering. It can't be both. It's terrible.
Yeah.
So I was like, at least if I got to come, how can I benefit from this? Make this the best it could be. That's why I did the gift wrapping paper.
Yeah.
That's why, I made them hire younger people because I was like the youngest one there for close to a year. Like, bring me some people that's in my field. So now I got people to talk to, bounce ideas off. That made it better.
Yeah.
I got them to get programs I could use, plugins and stuff to make the work better. Like, I made the best of it. even if I don't want to be there, you ain't gonna know I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show up and do what I need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think...
But I did quit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that was the last official job I've ever had.
And if you feel stifled in your creativity, what do you go to? Like, how do you pull certain, inspirations, creative inspirations? Like, when you feeling like, all right, I need a little creative boost. Like, how do you,
Okay. I didn't know if you were speaking.
No, speaking.
I'm a big Pinterest guy. I'm a big pinner. Like, I have my whole life planned out on boards. Anytime I'm doing a creative project per se, I like to make a board from it. Also like this new platform, which is like Pinterest, but more for artists, called Arena. That's really good. I follow a lot of artists on social media. So
that's how you clean your social media up. Yeah.
Deep dive into their work. I also read artist books like Show Me Your Work, Still Like an Artist, Austin Cologne, and and then I watch things that are well done. I think it's creative. Like that's why I love sci-fi movies and stuff like that. So I pull inspiration from everything. And then a funny one, I can pull inspiration from nature. Like nature is one of the biggest places for inspiration for me. Like if I'm looking for like a color scheme, I would look up birds.
Butterflies.
Birds have some of the craziest patterns, feather patterns, like complementary colors that you wouldn't even think about. Go look at different species of birds. You can put together a lot of color theory looking at that. Also, being in like beautiful nature inspires me. Like shots, I start seeing shots when I'm in the mountains or on the beach or something like that. You could just always get creativity from that, and also people watching. Like you never know what jokes you can come up with people watching.
That's where half our jokes come.
Half our jokes come from that. Also, like inspiration. They may be wearing something that spark an idea. Architecture is a big one for me too. Like I love looking at architecture, looking at houses, interiors of houses. Like
shout out to Ennis.
So shout out to Ennis. Like most of these places you're gonna see these episodes gonna be somewhere architecturally nice.
If not in nature.
If not in nature. To our best of our ability. So, and then I pull inspiration from people around me. I may pull inspiration from you. It's seldom, but I do.
I knew you couldn't help it.
I couldn't help it.
It's your creativity.
It's your creativity. I can't help it. I gotta tell a joke. But yeah, fashion, everything, man. Like music is a big one too for me. Like when it comes to editing, like most of my reels, it start off with the song. Because once I know what song I'm using, I know how I want to cut to the beat. So now I know what shots I want to get.
Yeah, and to speak on that, as far as the music wise, like we've done a lot of music in in dormtainment and, you know, just regularly done a lot of music. And it's funny because a lot of the albums that get started because of a random, just a random idea gets sparked. You lay it down, but then that random idea leads to the next random idea. The next thing you know, you working on. Because you usually take that one song to kind of like get stuff rolling, or what, that one sound to get stuff going. Or like, you know, if we think about Rappers Be Hurt, we love watching that video because we had to buy so much toilet paper for that video and then the shots were just creative, like how we rolled the toilet paper and then use the slider to follow the toilet. It's just little small things like that. You're like, man, like you just go over, you smile and you be proud of it.
But maybe you could speak on this because you come from more of a musical background. Like, only way I can say this, I guess, God or the universe, especially when it comes to stuff like music, because you get this idea, like you're creating a beat, for say, like you get this
because it don't exist right now.
It don't exist until you pull it out of the wherever you get it from, the universe, the Akashic records. Yeah, that's a whole deeper thing.
Yeah, that's a whole deeper thing. Yeah,
but once you get it, if you don't act on it, it moves on. Someone else will get it.
Absolutely.
But I feel like music is one of those things, like it's a connection to God. You got to tap into the source most of the time to create like a beat or a song. Like it's just such a spiritual thing that you're doing. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I think it's because I'm trying to remember, even like the very, very first beat I made, I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I just know you hit this drum and you figure it out, but like it's a rhythm, like, and life is a rhythm. Like it's just like you just like one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, and like then you slowly start to hear it, and then once you do it for long enough, you're like, oh well, this sounds good with this, or this snare sounds good with this, or this clap sounds good with this. What's that melody? You might hear a ticking clock or something. You be like, ooh, let me see if there's a tick sound. Like you start your brain. That's why I understand when artists like just need to be alone for a little bit and just kind of like, or if there's two different types of creatives. Some creatives can like just get up and get to it. Some creatives like, hey, let me feel a little bit. Let me just take a walk. Let me like, so I get it. However you get your inspiration, like that's how you get it. I think I can be on both sides. I think your creativity is you can get up and get active at it. Sometimes I gotta feel it, but when somebody else has, that's a big thing too. A creativity. If somebody else is in it, you be like, oh shoot, well maybe they can get me up and get me going.
And
but
once you in it, you don't want to end.
That's the scary part.
You want to squeeze every.
Because you don't know when it's gonna come back.
Sometimes you in a zone. You ever been in a zone? You just like, I'm gonna ride this as long as I can because I'm just creatively coming up with ideas, or I'm just in this pocket. And it's hard to explain how to get into that sometimes. Maybe you have like certain things that trigger it, but once you in it, you want to squeeze every last drop out of it.
Absolutely.
Every single last drop.
Absolutely. The other reason, go ahead.
I'm
about to say the other reason why the life, without creativity is dangerous, like you were going to bring it up earlier, is the problem solving aspect of it.
Well, that's exactly what I was about to say. Most people probably, like they hear people having a conversation like this, or a lot of people view themselves as not being creative. They're like, I'm not an artist. I don't make music. I can't paint. I can't draw. I'm not funny. I'm not creative. But everybody is creative. Like, I think people don't realize how much creativity is in their everyday life as far as the first one, I guess we're gonna talk about, problem solving. Like to solve a problem, it takes creativity.
Absolutely.
No matter how because you gotta sit there and think, okay, how can I solve this? What's the solution to this? And whatever solution you come up with is an act of creativity. So never think that you're not creative.
Like,
because
literally.
Every problem that's ever solved took some creativity, it took some thinking, took some equation they had to figure out, or whatever it is, it's a form of creativity.
And your creativity, the reason why it's dangerous is without your creativity, anybody is like, you could be saving somebody's life and you don't know it. That's the other part. Like when people have hit us up and say, man, I was thinking about hurting myself or anything like that, but I started watching your videos, or I listened to something that you said, and it's like you literally saving somebody's life. Like that's why life without it is dangerous, because you're providing a new way. If this person wouldn't have started this Airbnb business, we wouldn't be here creating this. It's like,
we wouldn't have the access to film it.
To film it, yeah.
In a place like this.
And filming in a place like this. And that's the cool thing about creativity. You're helping. Each thing you create is helping somebody, and that's why it's dangerous without it. And it's like, even to the point where we talked about earlier, where like, you know what, I've been going this same route. Today, I'm going to trust my creativity and I'm going to go this other way. Then you find out, there was an accident on that route that you usually take. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, shoot, I listened to my gut. Like, I did something different. And, that's another reason why it's dangerous without it.
Yeah, a lot of times our procrastination kills someone else's dreams.
Absolutely.
Like, if we didn't start Shady Side Up, our personal assistant at the time wouldn't have had a job. Mm. She had a whole job of supporting her whole family based on us starting a business.
Saved so much she was able to take off during this time of her pregnancy. Yeah, she saved a lot of money.
Like, that's crazy.
She managed her peak.
She definitely managed her peak.
Yeah.
But if we didn't start our company, she wouldn't have had that opportunity.
Yeah.
Of course, she would have maybe went somewhere else, but it was part of her path.
And she loved working with us, and that was the thing, yeah.
We could have created that whole thing just for her. God could have made us create that just for her to get through her part of her life. And that's how it is. And some people may have done stuff that was just for us to progress in our life.
We got somebody married.
And that's funny. Yes, we did. So speaking of progression, that's another act of creativity. Like, without creativity, there's no progress. There's no innovation.
Yeah,
There's
literally.
no Wright brothers. There's no airplanes. There's no trains. There's no cars without Henry Ford.
It's just stagnant.
Sprint came from a train company.
That's wild.
Progress, innovation off that. Tesla, Elon Musk, electric cars, most popular cars in the world right now. It's all innovation, all progress. But it took creativity. Mm-hmm. Like, for Einstein to solve the theory of relativity or whatever it was, creativity.
I think with creativity too, sometimes you gotta have, I think, was it Steve Jobs or somebody else? They had, or was it Bill? I can't remember which one of the billionaires. They have think days where they just, some people have think weeks.
That's Bill Gates.
Is it Bill Gates?
He takes a week off where he just goes in the middle of nowhere, no technology,
just
and reads.
And reads
and thinks.
And that's
he'll take about 15 books and read and think and then come back.
That's because you can create, not that the creativity can run out, but of course you can get burnt out. But you just need new inspiration. That's why we love when artists take a little break. Yeah. Go get your mind right.
Gotta live life.
Go live life. Yeah. Come back, and then give us what you learned. Give us what you ran into. What did you see? What did you experience? Now it's okay, we love that. That's why we like Larry June, because he talking about things that he's outside experiencing. Big Sean is another one. He'll go and be creative. He'll go tuck away. Mm-hmm. Take care of his health, come back, speak about his health, speak about the things that he's using to better himself. That creativity is progression. It's just that's it. That's why we it's just go ahead.
And it also if we speaking of progression on the other side, as you brought up earlier, being stifled, creativity helps you not be narrow-minded. Mm-hmm. A lot of the times. Mm-hmm. I want to say something like racists are not creative, but obviously there are some racists that are creative.
They're very creative.
But I feel like creativity, lends into your empathy. Because you're open-minded when you're creative. Yeah. Because you have to be. You have to think of all angles. You have to see things from different perspectives.
Yeah, it can't be one-sided.
To solve the problem you're trying to do or to elaborate on the idea you're trying to get out to the world. So I feel like when you're creative, you're open-minded, and when you're not, and you're stifling your creativity, you may be narrow-minded. You may see things as just black and white, oh, this person is bad because they're this color. This person is bad because they're this race or gender. But when you're creative, you don't think like that.
Yeah, you don't.
It's hard for you to think like that because you almost have to involve most people, all mediums. So you're thinking of everything from a larger lens than from this small little focal lens that people that think like that do.
Yeah, because creativity brings people together. You start thinking who, not how, which is a great book as well. You start thinking all right, how can I get this done? You start thinking who can help me get this done? with my creativity match with their creativity. Like who can help me get this done? We say that all the time. If it's a certain project, and let's say we were talking about Wes or something, and Emmanuel, both of them direct, we might be like, all right, well, Wes will be good at this, and Emmanuel will be good at this. Okay, and then if we add this to that, like you start painting, you start mapping out stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the cool thing about it. Creativity brings people together. Look at viral trends. Those are just creative things that bring people together.
I'll do one better. What's the one thing that brings people in most cultures together from opposite cultures?
Like dance and music.
Not that.
What?
Go a little deeper.
Oh, okay.
You're in the right field.
Okay.
What's something we all got to do, but what would bring two people together? What would you do when you breaking bread? What are you doing?
Food.
Food.
Yeah.
When people make recipes and you trying all these different flavors, that's a form of creativity.
Yes,
like a chef is one of the highest creatives there are in the world. Like a Michelin chef is somebody who can just, like, think about how your mom could just make things without measuring.
Yeah, just
she don't have to measure. She could just look at it and be like, I want to recreate that. There's some people that cook that well.
Yeah.
Like it just makes stuff taste good. And they ain't measuring, they ain't looking at nothing.
That bring everybody together.
That is creativity.
Absolutely.
And creativity brings people together.
Absolutely.
Like during the Super Bowl, people that don't even watch football are watching just to watch the commercials.
Just watch the commercials.
All the commercials is a form of creativity.
Because they like, man, what creative thing I'm coming with next?
What's going to be the best commercial? And then all the people that are in the space are definitely watching for that. And then it's just reports on it. It's articles about it. Who had the best Super Bowl commercial? Advertising companies or marketing companies are reporting on and putting that content out. And then they're breaking it down. Like creativity is everything. As you said, God said, let there be light. He had to create things. He's the greatest artist of all time.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Like, what are we doing without creativity? Life is just dangerous.
It's dangerous.
It's mundane. It's the stagnant. It's the same. It's like Groundhog Day. The same thing over and over if we didn't have creativity. So it's dangerous.
That's it. That's it. Like
I feel like I can talk about this for 3 more hours.
Because it's like it's just so much. It's so many things. We got so many experiences with creativity. We got so much. Let's take it. Let's take it like how we did before. Relationship stuff. Most of the, if you live, it's just in the animal kingdom.
We got the girls' attention now.
Oh yeah. Now we're here.
The R word.
Come on now. And listen, think about in the animal kingdom when we watch, because we watch a lot of the docs. David. Little Attenborough.
Attenborough, that's my boy
You know what I'm saying? The birds that gotta dance and be in order to just get love, to mate. Like I just need to be creative. I need to do something. When you were younger, like, all right, what's a cool way I can ask her out? There was, gotta be creative because every other guy gonna try to ask her too, especially prom and all that stuff. Engagements. What's the first thing dudes to think about? All right, I gotta think of a creative way to get this girl to
date night.
Date night.
Simple as date night. You gotta get creative.
Let me get creative.
Well, especially when you're courting.
Yeah, of course.
You still get creative with your girls, but when you're courting, you're trying to be creative so you can stand out amongst the other guys. Because
if you don't got it, it could get dangerous for you. You gotta be able to work that creative muscle. That's another thing. Family things, like you're like, all right, the family's coming over. Let's have a family game. What's a creative? Or like how do people do the creative games where they remember they did the whole Steve Harvey thing where people was dressing up. That's creative. It's funny. Costume party, all that stuff. It's like it's bringing people to get life without it is so dangerous.
Social media.
I mean, that's
the biggest thing in our lives of our generation, social media.
And that came from Buddy just walking on the beach one day, took a picture and was like, I want to share this. And he was like, wait, we need more. Look, that app is everywhere. Instagram is everywhere. It's what people use to do everything.
Everything.
I just got paid from social media because he did it.
That's what I'm saying. Someone procrastinating would stop so much.
So much.
What if no one thought about YouTube? The person who created YouTube.
We're not here.
He changed so many lives. He changed the world.
I can say nothing to him. He got it.
Steve Jobs changed the world. The mobile phone, the music industry with iTunes. He changed the music industry. Not even in music.
That's the part.
Not even in music, and changed it. So this is what y'all doing.
Made it to where artists that thought they would never get stuff heard.
He took the middleman out.
Yeah.
Now it was social media straight to consumer.
Right.
You don't have to go to a traditional routes that was back in the day. That's why like comedians was mad at first when like influencers and stuff start coming up because they had to go through the circuit. And I get it.
I get it. That's the
But
good
it's
muscle
just
to it,
like-
but it's different times.
Either you adapt or you get lost.
Like Buddy said, he was like, you gotta learn how to surf. You gotta ride the wave.
You got to ride the wave or get crushed by
Or
it.
get crushed by it. So you better learn how to surf.
One or two things you can do.
Yeah, so that we could talk about this for hours, but
We may have to have a part 2 with
Yeah.
another creative. It
yeah. Well, we said Bree, so we might have to get
could
Bree
be
on.
Bree, it could be Wes, it could be,
It could be both of them, whatever, whoever.
Chad.
Could be
like,
Chad, yeah,
you never
whoever.
know, like, it's going to be good.
But we need it. But yeah, that's all I got, man. I could talk about creativity forever. It's just, we here because of it. We not going nowhere because of it. And life without it is dangerous. So
Then I was in this convo by saying, let's go be dangerous.
let's do it.